I checked the list more than I needed. Shoes, watch numbers laid out in rows, like control could be arranged if everything was in place. The room feels quiet, too quiet. No more to adjust, no more to add. Just the weight of what I've done sitting with me. I've chased better versions, closer to perfect. Stronger legs, clearer signs, but it never arrives like that. Everything I bring is enough, not more, not less. No missing piece, no final fix. Just what stayed through every run. I didn't leave. The doubt still visits like it belongs. You could have done more, not quite ready. Lines I've heard so often, they almost feel true. But tonight they don't hold, they pass without settling. Like something I've outgrown without noticing. I waited to feel certain, to feel complete, to feel ready. But it never comes that way. Everything I bring is enough, even unclear, even unfinished. No guarantee, no proof, just everything that didn't stop when it could have. The road won't change for me. It won't ask what I need. It takes what I carry as it is. And maybe that's enough. No adjustment, no correction. Just distance meeting what I've become. No more building, no more changing. Just everything as it stands. Everything I bring is enough, not perfect, not complete, but real in a way I can't replace. Nothing gets added tonight, nothing gets fixed or improved, only accepted. What I bring is mine, not ideal, not polished, but carried all the way here. Everything I bring is enough, and tomorrow I run up because I'm certain, but because I'm here. No more waiting, no more adding, just everything I am.
No one tracks this kind of run, no numbers that stand out, just a familiar road holding another return. The body moves without signal, no surge, no peak, just repetition that doesn't ask to be seen. I've chased runs that show clear gains, visible shifts, but this stays unnoticed. The run that builds quietly doesn't prove anything, no moment to claim, just something forming over time. The pace holds without urgency, no push, no strain, just a steady line that continues past expectation. I don't check distance as often, not because it doesn't matter, but because this is different. It doesn't arrive all at once, no clear point where it changes, just layers adding without sound. The run that builds quietly stays longer than effort, not in speed, not in distance, but in what remains. The road repeats as always, same turns, same path, but something isn't the same, even if it looks like it. I've run this before many times, till today, at something I can't yet measure. No finish to define, no marker to confirm, just distance settling into me. The run that builds quietly doesn't stop when I do, it stays beyond the moment I leave. repeated enough becomes something that doesn't break. The run that builds quietly becomes who I am. Not suddenly, not clearly, but through everything I kept doing. No proof, no sign, still it built. I didn't go far, just a short loop. Nothing impressive, nothing new. The same turns I've taken over and over. The pace felt unremarkable. No surge, no breakthrough. Just movement that barely registered as progress. I've defined growth in bigger terms. Longer runs, faster times. Something visible to hold. Small steps still count, not loud, not seen, but they remain longer than I thought they would. The body didn't change overnight, no strength gained, no weight lifted, just repetition without announcement. But something accumulates quietly without asking for attention or proof. I've waited for something clear, a sign, a shift, but this doesn't arrive that way. Small steps still count, not because they show, but because they stay when nothing else does. The road holds everything, not just effort, but return each time I come back to it. And today wasn't different, just another small addition to something I can't yet see. No finish to measure, no moment to mark, just distance forming over time. Small steps still count, even unseen, even unfelt. They build in ways I don't notice yet. Not everything needs scale, some things need consistency. What feels small doesn't stay small when it's repeated without stopping. Small steps still count, and now I see, not in one run, but in what remains. Nothing changed today, still something did. I didn't wake up with a plan, no breakthrough on my mind. Just the same road, waiting like it always does. The body felt familiar, not fresh, not broken. Just carrying what yesterday left behind. I've chased numbers, tried to define what progress means in lines and time. One step ahead today, not far, not fast, just beyond where I stopped yesterday, and that is enough. The first steps don't feel different, same breath, same weight. No signal that this will matter yet. But something quietly builds, not in speed, not in distance, but in continuing. I've waited for the right day, clear mind, strong body, but it never arrived that way. One step ahead today, without proof, without promise, just a small shift that stays longer than doubt. The road doesn't change and reflect finish line. For this no moment to hold, just distance that quietly increases. One step ahead today, not visible, not loud, just a direction that didn't exist before. Not every step needs to prove something, some just need to happen. One step ahead today, and tomorrow will follow. Not because I planned it, but because I moved today. No leap, no change, just one step ahead. It used to be loud, constant, a voice I didn't question, telling me where to stop before I tried. Not aggressive, not sharp, just familiar enough to follow without noticing I was listening. It sounded like me at the time, reasonable, measured, safe. The noise doesn't reach me now, not gone, just distant. It still speaks, but I don't stand close enough to hear. I still feel the same weight, same breath, same strain. Nothing easier, nothing removed. But something shifted in space between what I feel and what I follow. The voice appears like before, you can't stop here, but it doesn't land anymore. The noise doesn't reach me now, not silent, just quiet. It passes through without staying, without shape. The road didn't change, the distance didn't soften. Still every step asks something of me, but the answer arrives without argument, without pause, without needing to explain. No fight, no resistance, just space that grew over time. The noise doesn't reach me now, not because I forced it, but because I moved beyond it. Some voices don't end, they fade when you stop standing inside them. Distance does what control never could. The noise doesn't reach me now, and I don't turn back to check if it's still there. I just keep moving. It still exists somewhere, just not where I am. He used to map exits before he began. Not fear, just awareness. A quiet understanding of where it could end if needed. She carried alternatives like backup plans, shorter routes, easier pace, options folded neatly into every run, just in case. It wasn't weakness, just structure, a way to remain in control of the outcome. The choice that disappeared didn't break, didn't close, it just faded from reach, somewhere between one step and the next. Another runner held the same pattern, measured effort, calculated strain, knowing exactly how far was enough. But something shifted without warning. marked it, no moment defined it, just a gradual loss of that option. The choice that disappeared was still there in theory, unchanged, but it no longer fit into the way I moved. The road stretched as it always had, same turns, same distance, but the questions felt different, less urgent, less present. He noticed it late, almost missed it. That familiar thought, you can stop here, arrived, but didn't stay. Not resisted, not ignored, just unanswered and gone. The choice that disappeared wasn't taken, wasn't refused. It simply lost its place in what I continue to do. Not everything ends with intent. Some things fade when they're no longer used. A path once available becomes distant, not close, just irrelevant to the direction you've become. The choice that disappeared left nothing behind, no gap, no absence, just a quieter way of continuing without looking for it again. It didn't vanish, I just stopped reaching for it.
Nothing had ended officially, no words, no closure, just a day that looked like any other. I moved through it normally, same rhythm, same steps, but something felt slightly removed from before. Quiet shift in how things held together. Before it became final, nothing changed outside. No signal, no sound, just a silence that didn't reverse. The run felt familiar, same route, same pace, but every step carried something unspoken. I didn't question, didn't define, no need to confirm, just movement through something closing. I've ended things with clarity, clean lines, clear choices, but this stayed uncertain. Before it became final, there was no decision, no point to mark, just something I didn't undo. Distance built without force, not escape, not intent, just separation quietly taking form. The road didn't change, but I did not suddenly, not completely, just enough to not return. No witness to this shift, no proof it was right, only the absence of continuation. Before it became final was already after, not because I chose, but because I go back. Some endings don't arrive, they accumulate until nothing remains to hold. Before it became final, held everything, not clarity, not relief, just a moment I didn't continue. Nothing stopped, nothing broke, still it ended. Nothing looked out of place, same room, same light, shoes where they always were, like nothing had already shifted. I moved slowly through routine, not careful, just aware, every action slightly heavier than it should have been. No one would call this a moment, no signal to remember. Still something quietly close. Before I didn't come back, everything stayed unchanged. No break, no sound, just silence that already knew I wouldn't return. The run felt familiar, same route, same pace, but each step held something final without saying it. I didn't rush, didn't slow, no urgency to define it, just movement through something ending. I've left before I turned back without thought, but this felt different. Before I didn't come back, there was no decision, no line I crossed, just something I didn't reverse. The distance grew without effort, not escape, not avoidance, just separation becoming real. The road didn't change, but I did quietly, completely, without needing to say it. No witness to the shift, no proof it was right, only the absence of return. Before I didn't come back was already after, not because I chose, but because I stayed gone. Some endings don't begin, they just stop continuing. Before I didn't come back, held everything, not closure, not clarity, just the moment I didn't turn around. Nothing changed, but I didn't come back. No thought, still forward, I didn't plan to be here. No schedule, no design, just movement that started before I questioned it. The road unfolded without asking, no signal to follow. Still my steps aligned with something I couldn't name. I've chased reasons to find purpose, constructed meaning before, but this exists without it. No thought, still forward, no reason, still moving. One step without direction, somehow it continues. The pace holds without control, breath settles without effort, distance builds without intent. Still, it happens, someone passed, or maybe not. I didn't mark, didn't measure, the world stayed distant, and I stayed within. I stayed within. I've stopped for less, turned back for nothing, but this didn't break. No thought, still forward, no clarity, still here. No plan, no outcome, just motion that remains. Time dissolves into steps, repetition without weight, each moment unclaimed yet real. The road doesn't lead, it allows no demand, no promise, just space for something to continue. No moment to define, no shift to mark, still something holds. No thought, still forward, no meaning, still true. No answer, still present, and that is enough. Not everything needs awareness, some things exist beyond it. No thought, still forward, and now I see. Not why, not how, just that I didn't stop. No start, no end, still forward. No start, no end, still forward. I didn't plan to be here, no schedule, no design, just movement that started before I questioned it. The road unfolded without asking, no signal to follow. Still my steps align with something I couldn't name. I've chased reasons to find purpose, constructed meaning before, but this exists without it. No thought, still forward, no reason, still moving. One step without direction, somehow it continues. The pace holds without control, breath settles without effort, distance builds without intent. Still, it happens. distant, and I stayed within. I've stopped for less, turned back for nothing, but this didn't break. No thought, still forward. No clarity, still here. No plan, no outcome, just motion that remains. Time dissolves into steps, repetition without weight. Each moment unclaimed yet real. The road doesn't lead, it allows no demand, no promise, just space for something to continue. No moment to define, no shift to mark, still something holds. No thought, still forward. No meaning, still true. No meaning, still true. No answer, still present, and that is enough. Not everything needs awareness. Some things exist beyond it. No thought, still forward. And now I see, not why, not how, just that I didn't stop. No start, no end, still forward.
I didn't start with purpose, no clear reason to be there. Just a pair of shoes and a quiet road to run. I could have skipped. The morning felt unresolved, not heavy, not light, just something unfinished I didn't want to name. I've left before, cut run short, turn back early, called it enough. No consequence, no memory that stayed. I stayed, that was it. No moment, no shift, just didn't leave when I could one step then another without explanation. Yeah, you passed without noticing. Not fast, not slow, just moving in a way that didn't ask anything. And somehow that was enough, not to follow, not to change, just to remain when leaving made sense. I've needed reasons in the past, goals, targets, something to hold, but this felt different. I stayed, that was it. No clarity, no meaning, just the absence of stopping, the absence of turning back. The road extended without effort, distance happened without force. The pace found itself without instruction. You were gone, or maybe not, I didn't check, didn't need to. Something had already settled, no realization, no conclusion, no point to define. Still something remained after. I stayed, that was it. Not strength, not discipline, just continuation without negotiation. Not everything needs a reason, some things just don't stop. I stayed, that was it. And somehow that was enough. Not everything changed, but I didn't leave again. Nothing dramatic, nothing resolved, still something held. He left before the street could fill with sound. Door half closed, keys forgotten. A life still arranged behind him, but something refused to be left there. She kept her rhythm perfectly intact. Measure pace, control breath. Every mile accounted for. Still something unaccounted remained. No pursuit, no pressure, just a presence that didn't follow because it never left. Running from what stayed didn't create distance. No matter the pace, no matter the miles, it was already there within every step I took. Another ran harder to outrun the weight. Longer routes, tighter splits, precision increased, but clarity did not arrive. He had reasons he could defend, the logic well constructed, but what remained didn't respond to justification. and that distance was never the answer. The road continued unchanged, but the meaning did not. Each step less escape, more exposure. No confirmation, no resolution, only the absence of denial growing clearer. Running from what stayed became direction, not avoidance, not escape, but a movement toward what remained true. Not everything can be outrun, some things wait without leave. Running from what stayed was never distance, it was recognition, arriving step by step until I stopped running away. It never followed, it never moved, it was always there. Morning air felt lighter than it did last month. Watch tightened around my wrist, playlist already waiting. While sunrise spread slowly, I crossed the riverside path. I knew by the first stride something had changed.
Yeah, breathing settled earlier, legs carry rhythm, longer paces that once felt dangerous now live quietly inside my body like repetition.
And finally started answering back.
There's a strange
Joy in realizing the effort stayed somewhere inside you. After all those nights nobody noticed you building quietly. The days my records keep growing feel brighter somehow. Not because numbers define me, but because improvement makes ordinary mornings feel connected to every difficult run before them.
old screenshots stayed buried inside my running app. Paces I once celebrated proudly, now looking smaller than I imagined possible. Back when stopping early felt normal.
And still I respect that version of me, the slower one, the struggling one. Because without those awkward beginnings, none of this growth would exist today.
I used to think fast runners were different people, but progress turned out to be repetition.
Wet shoes, heavy breathing, and returning again tomorrow. The days my records keep growing carry a quiet satisfaction. Crosswalk reflections, cool down walks, sweat drying in night air, while my heartbeat whispers softly, you're changing. For someone growth is pace, for someone distance, for someone finally believing their limits weren't fixed forever. And none of those victories arrived dramatically. Most were built quietly through tired weekdays, lonely river paths and evenings where motivation arrived late.
The older I become, the more I admire
Consistent effort,
the kind that compounds slowly,
until one day
your old impossible pace becomes your warm-up speed.
the days my records keep growing make life feel wider, because every stronger version of myself was hidden inside ordinary runs.
I almost skipped months ago,
People celebrate race day because results become visible.
but the real transformation
Happened earlier,
inside routine,
inside discipline.
inside evenings no one remembers now.
And maybe confidence isn't something you think into existence.
Maybe it's earned gradually,
Through evidence,
stacked mile after mile
inside your own body. The days my records keep growing feel deeply alive, not only because I'm faster, but because I can finally feel all those invisible efforts returning home to me through motion.
steady sunrise.
Faster footsteps, still growing. Laptop lights are glowing from the apartment window. Unanswered message waiting face down on the table, while my running shoes sat quietly near the door like they already knew. The city felt overcrowded tonight. Too many thoughts, too many voices, too much pressure stacked inside my chest with no then becomes conversation in exhausted lungs and an exhausted life, both trying carefully to survive another week without collapsing completely. I used to think running meant pushing harder, but certain miles aren't about discipline, they're about recovery, about finding enough calm to continue tomorrow. Just enough running to breathe again became its own kind of therapy. Quiet roads, steady footsteps, small moments where my thoughts finally stopped fighting each other. Someone running is performance, for someone competition, for someone just the safest place to fall apart privately without explaining anything. And none of those reasons make the run smaller, because survival sometimes looks like movement through empty streets after emotionally heavy days. The older I become, the more I admire people who protect their peace before burnout arrives, people who notice their spirit thinning out and choose movement gently. Just enough running to breathe again still saves me sometimes. Not dramatically, not instantly, but enough to remind me I'm still here beneath the stress. People celebrate intensity because intensity looks powerful, but softer endurance often keeps people alive longer. The kind that listens before the body breaks completely. And maybe healing doesn't always arrive through answers. Maybe sometimes it arrives quietly through wet sidewalk, steady breathing, and one more nighttime run. Just enough running to breathe again. That was all I needed tonight. Not perfection, not transformation, just about distance to feel my heartbeat return to something human again. Wet pavement, cool night air, steady breath, still running.
The route was short tonight, barely enough to impress anyone online. Just damn sidewalks, yellow traffic lights, and tired legs, dragging through another weekday. Office badge still in my pocket, convenience store coffee in hand, stretching beside vending machines while cars pass by without noticing how difficult it was to even start running tonight. There are runs people celebrate loudly, fast splits, race photos, perfect sunrise miles, but this wasn't one of them at all. Miles nobody would be impressed by, still carried effort, still carried stress, still carried the version of me, trying quietly not to disappear inside routine again. My breathing sounded rough against the empty riverside path, playlist repeating songs I barely heard anymore, while thoughts from work kept replaying themselves between footsteps. And still something about movement helped, even slowly, even awkwardly, even when progress felt invisible beneath sweat and ordinary exhaustion. I used to believe only big achievements mattered, but some nights survival itself felt worthy of recognition too. Miles nobody would be impressed by became the runs I needed most, not for records, not for validation, just to hear my own thoughts without the noise of the entire day. For someone, the run is emotional recovery. For doesn't always translate cleanly into visible numbers people admire quickly. The older I become, the more I respect ordinary consistency. The kind built quietly after draining shifts through weather, through difficult seasons. Miles nobody would be impressed by still change me slowly, because not every important distance looks extraordinary while you're living through it step by step. People notice dramatic transformations because they photograph well, but quieter endurance usually happens unnoticed beneath street lights, beneath stress, beneath unfinished adult lives. And maybe strength isn't always intensity. Maybe it's jogging softly through another exhausting evening instead of surrendering to stillness completely. Miles nobody would be impressed by became proof that I kept choosing movement through difficult years, through tired nights, through every version of myself that almost stayed home instead. Short distance, heavy heart, still finished. Blue shoelaces, cold evening air, the playlist buffering slowly outside the station, while nervous footsteps echoed across pavement, still wet from earlier rain. Back then, 1 kilometer felt enormous, lungs burning quickly, watch checked too often, pretending traffic lights were planned rest stops instead of excuses. I thought progress belonged to naturally driven people, the ones already fast, already confident, already built for difficult things from the beginning. Small starts still matter, even awkward ones, even uncertain ones, because most meaningful journeys don't begin beautifully, they begin quietly, with someone choosing not to stay still. There were runs where I turned back early, walked more than expected, stood beneath vending machine lights, catching breath slowly while pretending to check my phone again. Still, those smaller efforts stacked themselves somewhere inside my body, inside my thinking, inside the person I was becoming. I expected change to arrive dramatically, but real growth moved differently, through repeated evenings, through ordinary streets, through showing up again tomorrow. Small starts still matter, because confidence rarely arrives first. Most people begin unsure, wondering privately if they even belong on roads like this at all. For someone, the small start is fitness. For someone, mental survival. For someone, just needing 1 hour where breathing feels lighter than life did earlier. And none of those beginning look impressive immediately. Some arrive quietly through tired schedules, cheap running shoes and playlists, nobody else here. The older I become, the more I respect people willing to begin badly, without guarantees, without talent, without needing to look ready first. Small starts still matter, I know that now, because some of the strongest people I've ever met once stood exactly where I stood, breathing hard after 1 mile. People admire consistency after it becomes visible, but nobody sees the fragile beginning where doubt speaks louder than momentum. Every single night, and maybe courage isn't huge action, maybe it's tying your shoes while part of you still believes staying home would feel easier. Small starts still matter, even years later, because every long distance, every stronger version of yourself, every impossible dream once began with 1 uncomfortable first step. Quiet street, slow breathing, still starting. Sweat cooling slowly through the back of my shirt, crosswalk lights blinking across empty streets, while another unfinished chorus kept circling quietly inside tired lungs. Convenience store doors open, warm air brushing past me, sports drink in one hand, phone glowing in the other, as another thought arrived before exhaustion could erase it again. press record softly, breathing still uneven, half-written lyrics, broken melodies, traffic noise between sentences, like the city itself was listening for a moment. Voice memos full of maybe someday, saved between long runs, late shifts, and restless nights. Tiny future versions of myself speaking through static, refusing to fade completely. Some recording stops suddenly, footsteps crossing intersections, strange sounds overhead, wind cutting through riverside paths, moments where doubt sat beside me, quiet enough to hear my heart beat clearly. Others carry strange honesty, the kind fatigue creates, where ambition loses performance and turns into something simpler, more human, more difficult to abandon. I used to think dreams arrive fully formed, but enough to change everything, but most survive differently inside exhausted breathing. After kilometer 7, walking home alone, voice memos full of maybe someday became proof that part of me stayed moving, even when progress slowed, even when practical life tried reducing every dream into something safer. For someone, the recording becomes a song. For someone, a marathon goal. For someone, just evidence their inner world didn't go silent yet. And none of those recordings sound polished. Some carry vending machine noise, wet asphalt footsteps passing, bicycles, or tired breathing through old wired earphones. The older I become, the more I admire people who continue creating after draining days, without waiting to feel fully recovered before trying again. Voice memos full of maybe someday still glow inside my pocket. Unfinished hooks, fragile plans, small surviving sparks from every exhausted version of me that kept running anyway. People celebrate finished work because completion feels clean, but unfinished recordings carry fingerprints of real life, heavy breathing, background traffic, and hope interrupted halfway through. And maybe creativity isn't confidence at all. Maybe it's pressing record anyway while standing by these streetlights, wondering if this dream still has distance left. Voice memos full of maybe someday. I replay them after long runs sometime, not because they sound perfect, but because hidden inside those rough recordings, I still hear someone chasing tomorrow, one tired step at a time. Wet pavement, low battery, quiet heartbeat, still recording. 2 a.m., kitchen light, half-drunk coffee, going cold, microwave clock blinking like it's waiting for someone to finally sleep. Work shoes left crooked near the apartment door, phone battery at 3%, group chats muted while another unfinished idea stays awake inside my head. There was a time I thought dreams belonged to energetic people, the loud ones, the fearless ones who never look tired in public. Exhausted hearts still glow too, even after long shifts, empty trains, missed weekends, and nights spent questioning whether any of this still makes sense. The convenience store lights felt strangely comforting after late runs through humid streets, breathing hard under vending machine glow at midnight. Some dreams survive in tiny places now, inside notes, apps, inside voice memos, inside thoughts recorded quietly before sleep wins. I expected passion to stay explosive, but real life turned it into embers, small enough to fit inside exhausted people without disappearing. Exhausted hearts still glow too, through unread messages, through overtime schedules, through mornings where the mirror reflects someone trying hard not to disappear emotionally. For someone, fatigue comes from parenting. For someone, from survival jobs. For someone, from carrying invisible pressure through years without pause. before dreaming again. Exhausted hearts still glow too, not brightly, not constantly, but enough to light another step through another difficult morning again. People admire fire because fire looks powerful, but embers survive longer, quietly holding heat through dark hours. When everything else already burned out, and maybe hope isn't the explosion, maybe it's the last warm thing you protect carefully inside yourself after exhausting years. Exhausted hearts still glow too, I know that now, because some nights the only thing still lighting me was one unfinished dream, refusing to go dark completely. Late night silence, tiny red lights still glowing. There were dreams that once burned loudly, restless and patient, too bright to imagine fading
With time,
back then I thought passion would always feel explosive, that purpose would arrive clearly and remain untouched
through adulthood,
but years changed everything, the pace of life, the shape of exhaustion, the weight of responsibility, and even the way hope learned to speak inside me. Some dreams grow older with you, they don't disappear, they mature quietly through difficult seasons, through ordinary years, through every version of yourself that almost let them go. Certain ambitions soften, not because they died, but because life taught them patience, taught them survival inside crowded schedules and tired evenings.
and strangely those older dreams feel more honest now, less about proving something.
More about becoming someone I can live beside peacefully.
I expected dreams to demand everything, but some survive differently, through small efforts,
Through returning quietly,
through keeping one fragile light alive inside routine.
some dreams grow older with you, learning how to breathe inside adult life, inside unfinished goals,
Inside mornings where motivation arrives slowly, but still arrives.
for someone the dream becomes smaller, for someone
More personal,
for someone
less visible to the world, but more necessary to the soul.
and none of those changes mean failure.
Sometimes aging
Reveals what mattered most.
after ego finally grows quieter with time.
The older I become, the more I respect dreams that survive realistically,
Without pretending life is easy,
without pretending fear disappears with age. Some dreams grow older with you, through jobs, through heartbreak, through changing priorities, through years
that asked you repeatedly to become practical instead.
people celebrate young ambition loudly, but older dreams carry something deeper.
A quieter form of devotion that survived disappointment.
Without turning bitter,
And maybe maturity
isn't abandoning the dream,
maybe it's learning
how to love it differently.
with steadier hands and softer expectations.
Some dreams grow older with you, and maybe that's beautiful.
Because after all these years, they still wake something alive
Inside your tired heart,
on ordinary mornings again.
older dream, oh, older soul, still breathing. There were dreams I thought adulthood would quietly remove, like old posters taken down carefully from childhood walls. Over time, instead they stayed smaller, perhaps less vivid. are just more private, spoken carefully inside conversations where practicality always